All right, top 5 summer blockbusters. Alex, you and I, along with our significant others, went and saw the new Deadpool Wolverine. And
I gave some guy $5 to trade seats so I could sit by y'all.
Gay. Oh, God, I'm canceled. And considering we don't know 5 things each about Abu Dhabi, where the UFC card is this week, we decided to do top 5 summer blockbusters.
Talking about getting canceled, that's how you get canceled. Let me put a list together for top Abu Dhabi things.
And funny enough, Gay could not be in the Abu Dhabi top 5.
You're right. It would actually be stoned. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, literally, they'd still do that.
But let's go. I think I have the top. Let's move on before we're actually arrested. I think I have first pick, top 5 summer blockbusters. If you don't know what a summer blockbuster is,
It's a movie.
big time movie during the summer, generally when the biggest movies are released.
And we're not going to be very strict with summer. I mean, that's a bunch of months.
Because I think if the movie is in theaters during the summer,
It counts
It
as
counts.
as long, and it's got to be a smash hit.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing. It has to be a smash
but it
hit.
has to be in theaters during the summer. It can't be a December release.
Right, I agree. Not like Ghostbusters,
Yes. There were a few I was surprised at the release.
Iron Man 3.
Avatar
When was that released?
in like December or November.
Oh, nice. You know, it bugs me that Avatar is still the highest grossing movie after they did like 4 re-releases to beat Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, but Endgame did the same thing, didn't they?
They only re-released once. Just
Well, we
saying.
still got 10 years.
Yeah, there we go.
So let's move on. I got first pick, and I think there's only one thing I can pick right here. I'm going to pick the original Avengers, The Avengers. Summer blockbuster. I think it was released in like May or April, but obviously the in theaters during the summer. I think it was the first one that really the MCU was conceptualized. We're like, oh, they have all this shit going on, and they come together. It's a great movie. I know Iron Man was the first MCU movie, but this was the one that kind of kicked off like, oh, all these movies are intertwined,
Right.
And they go together.
It was
And
the first big team-up movie.
It was the
that,
first
like,
big team-up
mattered.
movie, and they pulled it off.
Yeah, that's
Because
the
Justice
biggest
League,
thing.
they didn't pull off.
Yeah, that came out way after.
A bunch of those other movies, they didn't pull off. Avengers, though, great movie, great at the box office, smash hit. Avengers, the original one, is my first pick.
I like that pick. They did great at like world building. You know, it felt like everything was going on, and then once the Avengers came out, like all the things got connected, like you said. That is a very good pick. I like it.
Thank you. What's your first pick?
Jaws.
I had that on my list.
Jaws is considered by many the first big summer blockbuster, just because there was a lot of movies that didn't get a lot of like ticket sales. Like Jaws was like the big one that was like iconic.
It kind of kicked off like the movie thing.
Right. You know, movie theaters were obviously around for, you know,
But it was
40
like
plus
big
years.
box office movie.
But this was like the first big box office movie that had a big budget. It was directed by Steven Spielberg. It made like over 100 million like ticket sales in the box office, which, you know, great. I would still say great suspense for a movie, especially for something thought about in 1975.
Yes.
And
a
it
good
holds
movie.
up today. You know, you watch Jaws with your kids, even if like the footage is a little grainy because it's old. Like nowadays, kids will still watch that. It's a good movie.
Good movie, good story. That's a good pick.
I like Jaws. You know, sequels and all that maybe not so much, but the first original Jaws is a good one. And I get to go again,
Get to go again.
man. So this is one thing I'm cool with giving you the Avengers off the first pick because I get to kind of go free range for 2 in a row. I'm gonna go with another classic, Top Gun.
Oh, I had that one on my
original
list.
Top Gun. It's a great, you know, action movie. It features Tom Cruise. I would say that's probably outside of Mission Impossible. It was definitely his first iconic role.
I wouldn't say iconic. It was the first big box office where he was a star.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Risky Business, I guess, would have been more iconic.
And he
earlier.
had some things when he was younger that he was big in.
So, Top Gun was a great movie. You know, it had the loss. No spoilers and all that, but
It's like 30 years old at this point.
yeah. But then you come back to like nowadays, where I would argue, as a culture, we're in like our nostalgia era.
Yes.
You know, we're bringing a bunch of things like that back, where you got like the Top Gun Maverick, that was a big blockbuster hit past couple of years, and that's kind of the litmus test about, how big of a blockbuster was it? Is it worth trying to bring back somebody who's still acting like that? And it was. Top Gun Maverick was a great movie. So I go with the original Top Gun as my second pick.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick.
What do you have for your second?
My second pick, it kind of piggybacks off of yours in terms of it's a movie.
Well,
They didn't bring back necessarily the same star, but they brought back the movie series. This is one that came out in the 90s. My second pick is Jurassic Park.
It's
Still a movie that holds up, even though it was in the 90s and now it's 30 years old. Still a movie that holds up. Made a franchise out of it. Iconic movie. A lot of iconic lines from it. Cinematography wise, like there's a lot of scenes in it that even if you haven't seen the movie, even if you're like 10 years old now, you probably know the reference at least. You might not know where it's from. And Jurassic Park is just a good movie. It's a very good movie. So Jurassic Park is my second pick.
That's a good book. I know Michael Crichton wrote the original Jurassic Park book, which spawned the movie. It was good. That's on my list.
It was such a good original idea, too.
And I would say, even with it being almost 30 years old or over 30 years old, the CGI especially holds up. The way they took the time to do the puppeteering with the T-Rex.
And the first one, the one that came out in 93, Jurassic Park, is still the best one in my opinion.
Yeah, I would
by
agree.
Far.
It definitely, like you said, it spawned the different franchises. So you have like Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, and then on the latest one, they kind of come together, which taps into that nostalgia era. And they did bring back the original characters. Jeff Goldblum, the Doctor,
I forgot about that.
I forgot the lady's name, but
The
all
lady.
three of them. The lady in Jurassic Park.
The woman lead.
The woman lead. Yeah, that was a very good pick. What's your next one, sir?
So my next one is from my beautiful girlfriend, Clara.
Damn, she's been demoted to the third pick?
She's not demoted.
Digging a hole.
She's not demoted. Definitely not. This is a movie that we've both watched recently together.
Okay.
She loves the movie. I love the movie. She actually originally watched this one in French, not even in English. Still holds up in English, she said. Has a great soundtrack to it that still kills.
The Greatest Showman?
The number 3 pick is going to be Shrek, the original Shrek.
Oh, dude, that's on my list.
It's a great movie.
Slaps in French?
It slaps in French.
Okay.
Still holds up, by the way. Still very funny. As an adult, I think it's even funnier.
Yeah, because you get all the jokes finally. Like, we understand
And speaking of a movie that was made 25 years ago now, the animation and everything in it is great still.
Spot on.
Spot on. Shrek's funny.
DreamWorks was killing it back in the early
DreamWorks
2000s.
was killing it. It, again, like the other one, spawned the franchise. They're coming out with another one, they said. Eddie Murphy said he's in. So many iconic characters.
Is that Shrek 5?
Yes. Shrek, Donkey, the Puss in Boots isn't even in this one.
Excuse you?
Fiona, Gingerbread Man.
Gingy was the monster.
And-
Not my gumdrop buttons.
And it brought in all these stories you knew as a kid, all the fairy tales and everything. Brought them into a movie, made them funny, made them interact with each other.
Wait, is that the beginning of the nostalgia era, Shrek?
It was one of the beginnings.
That's a bunch of references in that movie where it went with all the fairy tale stuff. It did a
brought 'em
bunch
all
of
into
stuff
one.
for a bunch of different, not franchises, but stories.
Clara loves, I'll do too, she loves the soundtrack of it too. A bunch of good Smash Mouth songs.
Rest in peace, the leader of Smash
Rest in
Mouth.
peace, the leader of Smash Mouth.
Snarf, snarf.
So, number 3 pick from my beautiful girlfriend Clara, Shrek. Great pick.
That is a good pick.
It was a great pick by her.
I can't be mad at that pick at all because it's a great movie. It came out when we were kids,
Yes.
and I forced my kids to watch it when they were like, "Oh, it's old."
It's a great movie.
And now they're like, "Damn, it's a good movie." So, my third pick, that is 3. Yep, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna go with more what I would call classics. My third pick, I'm gonna go with the original Star Wars.
Oh, that was going to be my next pick.
1977, May 25th, so it's right in line, but it put George Lucas on the map, and his wife, because his wife was actually the editor of the movie, and a lot of properties that he made prior and since. But
I mean, it goes into all the other things we said too. Franchise, spawned franchise.
for a long, so you had the original trilogy in the 70s and 80s, those were great, and then you waited like 20 years and the prequel trilogy came out, and then you wait another 10 years and the newest trilogy came out.
Now they're just coming out with shit every week.
And now they got TV shows that people hate and people love, and Star Wars fans are, notorious for hating just to hate, or, thinking that they get to decide what the fandom is. But Star Wars is just a great summer blockbuster. It was once again one of the first, but it kind of changed the dynamics of film for a lot of
Yes, I
them.
agree, and that's a great pick. I had it on my list.
All right, I'm gonna go with 4.
What's your 4?
Number 4, I'm gonna go with. I'm nerding it all up right now. Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man
Oh,
movie.
I had that on my list too.
So the reason I'm going with that was that put superhero movies on the map. You know, you had like some, I don't want to say
Blade.
bad ones, but you had Blade,
Blade's a
which
good
was
one.
like a superhero tangent movie. It wasn't like Iron Man, Spider-Man. It wasn't a character that everybody knew as a superhero. You had Fantastic Four in the early 90s, but that movie was just straight hot garbage.
Had a bunch of shitty Supermans,
And then they had like some.
but the Batmans were where
The original
they had the
Christopher
best
Reeves
ones.
Batmans were good.
But they had some good
Batman
ones.
wasn't great because they had like Tim Burton in the early 90s.
But
Wasn't a lot
the
of
late
film.
the 80s, early 90s, I think those
Val
were good
Kilmer
Batmans.
Batman,
Those were good
Michael
Batmans.
Keaton Batman. Those were
Then they
like
got the
iconic.
George Clooney. I was like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, they had Batman with nipples. That was a big deal.
Mr. Freeze, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that was fun. But I'm going with Spider-Man because it really put superhero movies on the map. I would say it paved the way for the MCU because it showed that they were a big box office draw years before the MCU was there. You know, the X-Men, of course, you know, helped out with that, the Fox Studios and all that. But Spider-Man was the biggest draw. It was a long-time comic love thing for all the fans. And then Sam Raimi came out and did it right. You know,
Yes,
he
it
made
was
the
a great
first
movie.
movie fantastic. Even though Tobey Maguire looked 40, it holds up. Like, it's obviously he's not in high school.
Mary
because
Jane's the worst in those movies. She's
Kirsten
so
Dunst-
mean. She's so
she is
mean.
so mean. So mean. Like, just,
She's lucky Spider-Man didn't turn out to be a villain, and it would all been her fault.
right? Yeah. The hero to villain story. But yeah, Spider-Man is my 4th pick. And that is, that's where I go with.
It's not a bad pick, Alex. So my 4th pick now. I'm
Yes,
gonna go with
sir.
another superhero movie, and as big as
You a nerd?
big as MCU fans we are, I think this is the single greatest standalone superhero movie. And I'm gonna go with The Dark Knight.
Nice.
Christian Bale. I think it was Batman, the perfect Batman, and I think this is the perfect Batman movie. We talked about the ones before it where like late 90s they sucked. Early the Val Kilmer ones were all right. The old ones were good.
Yep.
This version of Batman I think
Danny
came out in
DeVito's
06.
Penguin was kind of cool.
Came out in 06. This was the movie was perfect for Batman. He played Batman perfect. The new Batmans aren't as good. He was he will always be my Batman, Christian Bale, and this was the best Batman movie
He
and
really
the best
pulled that
superhero
character
movie.
off.
He did.
He pulled Bruce Wayne and Batman off like really, really well.
He did. But yeah, I think it's a perfect superhero movie, and as big as an MCU fan I am, I think they're way superior to DC in movie-wise. I think this is the best standalone superhero movie.
Yeah, I think it is a very good movie. I have to agree with you there. The Dark Knight, and it was like, you know, it was in a weird era for movies where like it felt like not a whole bunch was coming out.
Yeah.
Like a whole bunch of not like maybe important things were coming out. It was just like a bunch of just Shrek sequels and, you know, sequels were coming out where like this,
There's a
even
lot
though
of
The Dark
comedies.
Knight is a sequel to Batman Begins, it was like better than Batman Begins.
Oh, it was way better.
Christopher Nolan actually.
It was one of the rare times where the
killed it.
sequel was like tenfold better than the
Yeah.
prequel.
Yeah, it was good. And The Dark Knight Rises was just as good.
I wouldn't say just as good. It was good.
It was up there.
It was up there. It was
Another
better than-
Christopher Nolan masterpiece.
Yes. But
All
yeah.
right, what's your fifth
Dark
pick,
Knight.
sir?
My 5th pick is going to be a real personal one. It's still a big movie, though. It came out last year. I
Oh.
love the movie. My 5th pick, Oppenheimer.
Good movie.
I'm a history nerd. I love the way they portrayed it. I love Cillian Murphy. He's one of my favorite actors. I
Honestly,
think he played it perfect.
We saw that movie in theaters together. That was one of the easiest 3 hours
It was.
I've sat still for. Like, gripping. RDJ
captivating.
killed it. Cillian killed it.
Had Matt Damon was in it.
Yeah, all these
Emily Blunt.
crazy
It had
actors.
so many
Florence
good-
Pugh, naked.
So many good actors, so many good actresses, a good storyline.
Yep.
I mean, it was a great movie. It was the perfect
Maybe
movie.
not a good storyline, but a
think
good
it was.
depiction of a story on movies.
It's a good storyline. I think it was one of the perfect movies. So Oppenheimer, my 5th pick.
That is a very, very good pick. I can't really argue with that. It's so good. It's a great movie. I've seen it like 6 times. It made me read the book.
Yes, I listened. I did the audiobook.
Yeah, I did too. I count that as reading. That's a good pick. My 5th pick, I'm going with another one that's near and dear to my heart. I think it is. If it isn't the movie I've seen the most in my life, it is the movie I am still trying to see the most. I actively watch it all the time still. Even though the MCU is different now, Avengers Endgame was the biggest crossovers to date for any like superhero franchise, superhero movie thing. It made like almost $3 billion at the box office total, which is ridiculous. Especially given it came out like right before COVID. You know, if you'd have waited like 1 year, Endgame wouldn't have been the massive success it was. It couldn't have been.
They would have held it off.
But Avengers Endgame being that big movie, it sealed the deal for a bunch of Marvel fans, comic book fans, movie fans. It was a culmination of a bunch of things and story ties that just finally finished.
Don't hate me, but
I don't think they could ever replicate it. That's the biggest thing.
It's a great movie. I loved it. I'm a big MCU fan, as I said. It brings the whole thing together. But as a standalone movie, I wouldn't say it's
a lot of people would argue that Infinity War is a better movie.
Yes, I like Infinity War.
And I would never knock that. I have a heart. Every time I watch Tony Stark die, I cry a little bit. There's certain pieces in that movie.
I love seeing the villain win.
That just gets me every time. And I agree. It
is a good movie though. But that's our top 5. Let's recap it. I'm going to go first. My number 1 pick was The Avengers. My number 2 pick, Jurassic Park. My number 3 pick, from my beautiful girlfriend Clara, Shrek. My number 4 pick, The Dark Knight. Number 5,
That'll do, donkey.
Oppenheimer. That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
All right, my number 1 is Jaws, the Steven Spielberg classic. Number 2, Top Gun. 3, the original Star Wars. 4, well, that was a weird voice. Spider-Man, original Tobey Maguire. And Avengers Endgame is my last pick.